He came back on a Tuesday, the kind of day no one remembers. The town lay under a tired fog, like a blanket that forgot how to keep anyone warm. He didn't plan to return, but roads remember the feet that once used them, and some places refuse to forget. Windows were dark, mailboxes leaning. A swing moved without wind, not haunted, just unfinished. He walked slower than memory. Every store sign felt like a question he did not want to answer. He told himself he was only looking, but looking is a kind of confession. He stopped at a rusted gate, his old yard. Paint peeled like paper skin. The porch light, dead for years, seemed ready to breathe. He placed his hand on the wood. It was not the house that felt cold. It was him. The door yielded with a sound that remembered him. Dust lifted like quiet applause and settled again. He waited for anger to meet him inside. Only silence came. Silence is honest when it has nothing left to say. The hallway stretched longer than it should. Picture frames faced the wall, turned by a man who chose not to see. He walked past them like a thief inside his own life. Her room was at the end. It had always been at the end. Pink wallpaper, faded to the color of old breath. A small bed, impossibly neat. A stuffed rabbit leaned against the pillow, ears tired from waiting. He touched the doorknob, and the house exhaled. He remembered the heater. He remembered the call that kept him in the other room. "I'll check in a minute." He remembered the minute becoming an hour, the smoke turning the hallway into a throat he couldn't swallow. He remembered shouting her name and hearing it come back smaller. He does not remember flames. He remembers orange light on white doors. He remembers the sound of soft things failing. He remembers calling for help and no one answering. Because sometimes the house you live in is the only witness. Floorboards breathed behind him. He turned. A small figure stood in the hall, not solid, not vapor. A body made of the distance between what happened and what he allowed himself to say. No face, no eyes. Recognition does not need features. He waited for judgment and found none. The shape did not accuse him. It only stood the way truth stands, near enough to warm, far enough to hurt. "I'm sorry," he said, and the wallpaper listened. "I am late," he added, and the words were heavier than grief. The shape tilted, like a child hearing rain for the first time. He picked up the stuffed rabbit, stitched at the neck. He remembered mending it one night, needle between his teeth, her laughter in his hands. He set it back the way she used to, facing the window, as if toys could keep watch. A dead telephone sat on a small table. He lifted the receiver and heard nothing, which is different from silence. He placed it down gently, as if not to wake anyone who would never sleep again. There was a mirror by the door, covered with a cloth. He pulled it away and found no reflection, only fog, as if the glass had decided to remember the town instead of him. He understood. The house was not keeping him out of the past. It was keeping the past from breaking all at once. I stopped saying her name, he whispered. I said I was healing. I was only hiding. The figure brightened, not with light, but with clarity, like a word finally spelled correctly. A small hand, no heavier than air, rose toward his chest, not grabbing, not forgiving, finding. He felt warmth where names are kept. He felt weight where minutes turn into hours. He felt the minute he promised and did not keep. Somewhere, a pipe clicked. Somewhere, the fridge hummed, decades too late. The house practiced being alive again, just enough for him to hear it. He opened the window. Fog moved across the sill like a tired animal. Outside, a streetlight waited with patient gold. He understood what the town wanted, not an apology to erase a wound, an apology that allows it to be named. He said her name once, then again, then as many times as the room needed. Names are doors. They open from the inside first. The figure faded the way breath does on glass, not vanishing, becoming part of the room, part of the hallway, part of the man holding both. He did not feel forgiven. He felt seen. Sometimes that is harder. Sometimes it is enough. He stepped back into the hall. The frames on the wall had turned themselves around. Every picture was empty. He smiled without joy. Emptiness can be honest too. He closed the door softly, like a prayer said by someone who has learned how to pray. On the porch, the wind chime finally moved. The street looked the same as when he arrived, only clearer. Not because the fog had lifted, but because he had. Some towns are not haunted by ghosts. They are haunted by the names we refuse to say. He said hers again. The town kept it. And he walked away.